Well, when I was younger, I was mad into sport. That was my life. Everything revolved around sport. Mainly running, that's the main thing I used to be good at. But I was also part of all the local GAA teams, basketball, camogie, everything. So anything that was sporty, I was doing it, basically. I was in transition year in 1999 and I went about my day as normal. We were during the midterm break. I went to the cinema, I went babysitting, went out running, did a 4-mile run, and I woke up the next morning and it was like bang. I was sick in a way that I never had felt before. All my muscles were aching, I felt heavy, had a bit of a headache. So it was around 9 o'clock that night and I decided to go to the bathroom. And it was while it was there, I looked down at the palms of my hands and I saw these little bruises. They were, to me, it was like little blood clots under the skin, purpley black colour. And I thought it was very strange, so I showed my mum. And as soon as she saw it, she thought, it's meningitis. She knew. They brought me into intensive care and I remember looking up, seeing about 6 or 7 doctors around my bed, and I said, when am I going to be able to go home? And they said, look, you're going to go asleep now. And they put me medically asleep then, and I was asleep for 8 weeks. So they were 8 weeks that I have no recollection of, but my family did, and it was a very tough time for them. On the first night, the doctors took my parents in and said, she's not going to survive the night, so get a family member in to be with you and bring her brothers in to say goodbye. So that was extremely tough on them. And then I survived, and I survived the next night and the next night. I had septicaemia as well as meningitis. And the doctors came to my mum and dad and said, look, she has gangrene in both her legs. We need to amputate both her legs below the knee within the next 2 days or she's not going to survive. And they did the operation, and as soon as they did that operation, I started to come around. As well as losing my legs, I ended up losing all my fingers as well. The gangrene had killed the tissue in my fingers too. Well, it was a long process to get into the real world again. I was a year in hospital, and when I came out, I was in a wheelchair. It wasn't time for me to get the prosthetics yet because I still had wounds to heal. And then as soon as the wounds healed up, I got fitted with prosthetic legs. But still, it took a good year before I could actually walk. I went back to school the following September. Now I had to go in a wheelchair, and it would have been nice if I could walk, but I was nowhere near walking at that stage. I also, sort of a few months after starting school, got prosthetic hands, which don't do anything, they don't work, but at least for me at 16 it was nice to have something. It felt like a bit of extra self-confidence. The Meningitis C Vaccine was introduced just a few months after I actually got meningitis, and it's one of those things I think, oh, if only it had come out a little bit sooner, or if I had had the chance to avail of it, this might never have happened. And it actually did come into my school about a year later, and it was funny, at this stage I was back in the school going around in the wheelchair, and everybody in the school knew I had had meningitis, and still there were people who were a bit worried about getting the vaccine. They were saying, oh, I don't think I want to get it. And I was saying, but look at me, like, if you could get it, you could avoid this potentially happening to you. The Meningitis Research Foundation has been very important to myself and my family. When I first got the disease, my mum and dad contacted the foundation, and they were given advice. They were given people to contact with, other parents who had children that went through meningitis. So it's lovely to have that system in place for people to go to, and a place with knowledge and accurate knowledge as well. I'm Daraine Mulvihill, and I'm a presenter for the Paralympics morning show. Paralympics was such a great thing to be involved with because there was just so many people with such a range of disabilities there, a number of meningitis sufferers, but they all had the same attitude, which was, whatever about the disability, it's about what we can achieve and what we can do. You just got to experience things and see things that I never imagined that I'd see or be at. And sometimes I think, oh, I had meningitis and I lost my limbs and it's terrible. But the Paralympics was one of those things where I thought, you know what, it's not all bad. There's some great things that have come out of this.